realizing as I was coming out of it, like, oh wow, like we've been communicating, like, because all of a sudden there was all this stuff when I came out of it that like we hadn't spoken a word, but yet we knew about each other's experience. So for people listening, this might sound completely woo-woo. I don't mind. It was my experience. I had it. I lived it. It was crazy, but I highly do not recommend that. It was not something I would ever replicate in my life.
So you were able to comprehend the energy, at least, even though you weren't talking. Your brain, like, I'm thinking 50 doses of LSD, my everything just fractals, including my thoughts, and I'm just like literally like a dog drooling for 12 hours. It wasn't like that. You were able to still, even if you weren't speaking, you were able to comprehend the things passing through you and your friend.
So it was like for about an hour and a half, that's when like my ego completely clicked off. Like, so the last thoughts I had were like, okay, this was more than I thought. I'm going to have to ride this out and just thug it out. And so then I would have these experiences where I was just like, in deep meditation, all of a sudden you just have an awareness like, whoa, I'm thinking that I'm thinking, or whatever those things happen. But you're still like so out there that like you're not really like having the like, well, what does this mean? And what does that mean? You're just having this awareness of like, oh, that happened. And then you're just going back out. That's how it was. It would like, I would come in a little bit and then just go right back out. And every time I went out, I'd go farther and farther. And so I just remember becoming one with the stars and seeing all these different visions. Some points I had my eyes closed. Sometimes I had them open. I was laying in the grass, so I felt so connected to the earth. That's like all I remember really past that hour and a half point. Besides like, realizing as I was coming out of it, like, oh wow, like we've been communicating, like, because all of a sudden there was all this stuff when I came out of it that like we hadn't spoken a word, but yet we knew about each other's experience, right? Like, oh, when you did that and when you had that, and we were like, wait, how do we know this? We never talked. And so it was the weirdest thing ever.
Yeah.
And that was probably the strongest thing I've ever done. I mean, other than 5-MeO DMT, that was the strongest thing I've ever experienced in my life, and it was wild.
I don't know how many people have walked on the moon, but you may have shot yourself into a more exclusive place.
Yeah.
Seriously, how many people throughout history, if you had to guess, would you say took 50 doses of LSD or some sort of psychedelic? Like, that list has to be a few hundred people, maybe back in the day when people didn't know what it was or how strong it was. You're just eating random mushrooms and you take 100 doses of something. But LSD is much more of a recent discovery. So if I were to guess, I would say less than 500 people ever have taken 50 plus doses of LSD at one time. Like, that is absolutely insane.
Yeah, it was wild, man. And it's actually funny because I've thought about this, because afterwards I was like, man, like I was I was honestly shocked when I came out of it. I was like, man, dude, I've got to learn more about this before I ever fuck with that again. Like, because I realized when I came out of it, I started putting pieces together, and, I started being like, oh, yeah, okay. Like, I started doing research, and I was like, oh, LSD can recrystallize if it's not, like, I think it's emulsified properly, but essentially if they're using the wrong thing to not cut it, I forget what the terminology is here, but essentially they used like some type of water or something like that instead of like whatever alcohol or whatever they use. But it was one of those things that I came out of being like, thank fucking God I didn't lose my mind and fracture my psyche, because I realized that was a real possibility. Like, if I had tried to fight any of that experience, it would have ended really badly. Like, and I realized that right off the bat. And so I feel like I had that experience just so I could tell people, like, be fucking careful. Like, mushrooms, at least like, you're not going to accidentally eat 50 grams of mushrooms, right? It's like pretty hard to do that. Maybe in an extract when those come out. But
you have to get like a to-go box of mushrooms and then just down the entire thing.
Yeah. But like with things like LSD, I mean, it's just so easy to accidentally do that. So that's why I tell everyone, like, be fucking careful, because it's like, I think about it and I'm like, well, if there is some award that maybe I won for that, it was like you were a fucking idiot award, but luckily you didn't annihilate your entire life coming out of that. And I've read stories about other people that have taken very high doses of LSD, and they kind of say the same thing. Like, you have to be like fully able to surrender. And for me, it wasn't even that I went into it super confidently. Like, I was terrified as soon as it started coming on, because I realized, I'm like, something is definitely not right here. But I just realized from that mushroom experience, I was like, well, I can't fight it. I just have to fucking take it, or I'm going to like potentially really fuck myself up.